We're talking E's Famously Single, Season 2, Episode 3, The Disappearance of Calum Best. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
You got to show me your love. If you want to be with me, actions speak louder than words.
I feel like we're at the Abbey or like after hours at Mickey's. What up, AfterBuzz? It's your boy DJ Jesse J here in studio, and with Miss Lina Noory. She gonna be my girlfriend since we both famously single out here, y'all.
Yes, we are.
What up, Bo?
What's going on, everybody? I'm your girl, Lina. Well, actually, Dr. Philina, the girl that gives the best relationship advice but does not take her own advice. And you can find me on Instagram at Lina Noory and Twitter at Lina Noory _.
Boom, make sure you guys are keeping in contact with us. Hit us up at AfterBuzz TV on all social media. And you guys can tag me at DJ Jesse J. So I had to watch this.
No midnight tweets, though.
Man. You know who could send me a midnight tweet is Mr. David McIntosh. Just kidding.
David over Chad?
I think I'm growing up to appreciate the Chads in the world.
You like the David because of what they found online.
No. Because honestly, actually, when I mean, I've seen him. I've known of this man far before, but I had to. I mean, I didn't think it was anything, you know, because I had to be reminded. I was like, what did that look like? Let me see it. Because he's like one of those guys that's on Instagram that's always naked, and it's like, okay, like you found a dick picture. Like I'm sure he has. It's like Black China suing because there's a naked photo of a girl. Come on, you know what I'm saying? Like it's
he did you a favor.
These are out here. Like it's not like it wasn't, you know. So I thought it was more interesting that Ronnie kept wanting to like look in the phone at the pictures because I'm like, he's like, whoa. I'm like, Ronnie.
Well, he probably wants to know what he's up against.
Well,
in the same house?
Yeah, but he was making it seem like David had this colossal like submarine in between his pants, and I'm like, Ronnie, what are you working with? You got a Duracell dick over there? Like, Malika, what's tea, girl?
Well, they're broken up now, so maybe she'll let us know.
That's probably
Let's tweet her. Tell us.
Ooh, I bet we could probably get Malika in here. She was. I met her on the carpet. She was super sweet.
I would love to have her in here.
Yeah, I like her. And you know what's fun, random about her is she has like. Have you ever heard like Paris Hilton uses a different voice for the public? So basically,
like her hosty voice.
It's called it's like the Kardashian voice. They say basically Britney Spears does it. So what they do is in Hollywood they speak on a higher pitch, so it sounds less threatening, and people appreciate people will be more open to them and have conversations versus what they actually sound like. Instead of trying to sound like trash, because Paris Hilton's voice is like 4 tones lower than what she actually speaks like. And I saw it tonight in Malika. Malika, when she's around Rob, you hear her like, it's like her like walk around the kitchen like, Ronnie. But when she sat in with Darcy and she knew she had to be on, she's like, hey, how are you? Yeah.
I gotta get the box of tissues.
Yeah, and the watermen need that, thanks.
But it's so sad, and I love that you just said that I've noticed there's a commonality that women feel like they need to bring themselves down a notch in order to not be threatening. Like, what does that mean?
I think it like, not that it stems from this in a way, but maybe with Malika it kind of does, you know, because I don't think it's with everything, obviously, because if the Kardashians and Britney, they don't have this, but like that angry black girl kind of syndrome that a lot of black women can get if they speak too directly, or if they talk a little bit, you know, more bluntly than, you know, I see a lot of women getting that. I don't think that's her specific case. I think that it's just kind of like a, I know you're not going to listen to me, so I'm going to use this tone of voice. Kind of. I don't know, because it's funny, because I was talking to somebody, my roommate, he does it, and it's like when he's on the phone, he's like, yo, what's good? But in person, he's like, hey, y'all. I'm like, wait a minute, what is that? You know? Or then, like, for me, I'm like, okay, I have this is my host voice. This is how I speak.
But do you talk like
air.
this on Snapchat?
No. Well, I don't know if I do.
My brother tells me, he's like, you sound so stupid on Snapchat. Stop with the ups and downs and the pits and the pulls.
I think it would be like, if I'm speaking directly, like I know that this is the tone that people will listen to. It makes you pay attention, because if you hear me in my regular voice, I'm talking like this, I mumble, and it's just like,
You sound sexy.
you know what I'm saying? That's a different kind of show. I don't know, but I've been talking about this, and voices and pitches, and when you know, like you were saying, like sometimes when you hang out with a certain group of people, you kind of adapt to that. And so I think it's interesting in this house. I always wonder how we were talking about those dating things. These people are in these houses, like, are these relationships, can they be real? Can you really build something real in here? Are we really seeing the real you? Are these celebrities seeing the real you? I don't know.
Well, first of all, they're on a TV show where I feel like, and this is actually what I really love about this show, is it gives these reality TV stars an opportunity to show a different side to themselves. But then are we even seeing the real side? Like, Callum just got up and left and he disappeared. And then when he came back, she's like, let's talk about it. And he's like, I don't want to.
Okay.
But that's not a part of the rules.
Two things with that. Yes, that's not a part of the rules. And I did just watch Real Housewives of Potomac reunion, and they did say one thing, honey, you signed the release form. So, and that is very true. But also at the same time, I know production, and I know he knows production. So if he's coming in with liquor in his system, he probably doesn't want to do a therapy session, because they can use anything that comes out of it. I felt like that's where he was coming from. I don't think it was like, I'm too drained to actually talk about, I'm running from my feelings. I think he was like, y'all know I'm hungover and tipsy right now. I'm not having this conversation here. I'm here, I'm speaking. And because he was very like,
yeah,
yes, I know. Like trying to keep himself together. that was, to me, that is where my brain went with it. It was more of a production thing.
It's funny because I would say you have more of a softer mindset or a softer interpretation. For me, it's that I feel like he was there season 1, made a complete a-hole of himself, and here he is back season 2 trying to fix that reputation or trying to fix that image. I don't believe there's a side of him that doesn't want to actually, who doesn't want to be in love, who doesn't want to be happy. I think bottom line is everyone's here with the right intention. But what I'm saying is, you're in a house. Like, how realistic is this? You're in a house where you see this person 24/7. When you're dating somebody, you're not like, hey, nice to meet you, let's move in together. So how realistic can it be?
Well, lesbians are, but...
Is it really?
I'm just kidding. But
oh, like
not really,
the bum on the couch?
Well, no.
Did he move in day 1?
Not day 1. Week 1.
No, but I'm being serious. Like, you're in a house, you see them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, for example, Karina, where she had the whole big meltdown, which I'm sure we'll get into, but immediately after, a girl would probably go home, ignore you, or talk to you later once she's all settled in. She goes home, and what do you think happens? Here comes Chad, and then here comes Tiffany, the new therapist, which I love Tiffany, by the way. Tiffany's killing it this episode. She needs to come back on Famously Single as a therapist.
Well, or like a helper, like the
sexual
Dr.
therapist.
Darcy's little helper, honey, because New York is on one. So, all right, so we saw these nude photos. David didn't care. And then this fan of The Bachelorette walked up to Chad, and I didn't take it as her flirting. I didn't take any of, like, the moves that they were making, like their body chemistry as flirting. I felt like she was more of a fan. Like, hey, I wanted you. She said, I wanted you to end up with Lacey or whatever the girl's name is. So from afar, I can understand you thinking that what they're talking about, but I didn't even see like the chemistry of like, he wasn't like all over her, anything like that. And Karina, for her to kind of get like that, I don't know. It was just kind of like, I get it. I'm not going to be like, I don't, because I do. I've been a jealous one myself. When you just want your man to give you all the light. Dorothy
said it best. If you are psycho, you hide that shit.
Yep.
You definitely do not show them from the beginning. No, but
it's okay to be crazy.
Yeah, I've been Karina, and ironically, I wish I could say it was the liquor, but she was at the bar saying that she was making a virgin drink. Mm-hmm. I feel like she made it a point to say, like, who says I'm making a virgin drink? You either say I'm making a drink. I got a cup of Coke. I'm making a drink, So I felt like she intentionally wanted to say that she was sober to, like, validate that she's not crazy off the liquor, but that's even worse. Yeah. It's better if you're crazy off the liquor than crazy not on the liquor. Then you're just really crazy.
No, I know, yeah, because I'm good at handling it, but it'd be the liquor. You're going to get that phone call. I actually had one on Tuesday on the 5th of 4th of July, honey.
Did you? What'd you say?
Well... I just voiced myself. Probably a little louder than I should have. Karina's jealous. She decides to go home. And then that's where we popped in with the Dr. Darcy and Callum one-on-one. He basically came out to say that he saw some friends, chased a party, and that he doesn't feel safe with Darcy anymore. I felt like that was an excuse. Don't say that. This isn't about trust or anything like that. You didn't like probably that the producers wanted you to interview because you were hungover, but this was probably scheduled. You knew this. You decided to go out, just like you kept pushing everyone away. You know David is the type of person to come put a drink in your face. Like, you did this to yourself. And I think he knows it, and it's just kind of like one of those things like, yeah, I fucked up. All right, like, don't hate me for it. But it's like, we can because you signed up for this specific.
Alcohol, I feel like, is an excuse.
Yep.
So I didn't drink for 29 years. Well, not 29 years because I did not drink for 25 minutes. I wasn't even able to drink for 29 years, but I did not drink until last year. I had my first sip, and I worked in nightlife for 10 years. So you can imagine 5 days a week I was around liquor, and I would always hear that excuse. It's the liquor, and if I didn't drink, I wouldn't have texted my ex, or I wouldn't have been emotional. And I understand that liquor kind of like brings maybe a more emotional side out of you. It kind of like will amplify anything you're feeling. So yeah, I agree. Like, if you're naturally an angry person, it's going to make you angry. If you're naturally a jealous person, it's going to make you jealous, or even more jealous is the correct way to call it. But it's not an excuse. Even if you're hungover, it's not an excuse. I feel like he's hiding behind liquor. He's hiding behind what he really feels and what he really thinks. And it's sad because he's now, 2 seasons in, and I feel like some of the other characters are progressing more than he is.
Yeah.
Like, even Tiffany's progressing more.
Well,
like, she was honest about her feelings. I gave her props when she was sitting across from that date, and she admitted that he gave her a weird feeling and she didn't know how to react to it. I had so much respect for her, because step one is acknowledging you have a problem and acknowledging what it is.
Well, and I think that's more of the scary part with Callum. I think what's scary is he knows. I think he's actually probably the smartest one in that apartment. I think that he also probably knows, as he's doing, like he says, he's doing the bad thing. He knows he's doing it, and it's just kind of it's like almost like an ego power trip with him. Like, I mean, what's really going to stop me? Like, I know, and he probably thinks it all out. Like, yeah, if I do this, this, and this, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to end up back at the house at the time that I really need to be there. They're going to bug out a little bit. I'll have to hear them. Like, I think he really talks himself through all that, and that makes me feel like, are you a sociopath? Like, are you psycho?
Well, he's definitely selfish. I'll tell you that. For the fact that he got up and left. And I did appreciate the fact that he came back and gave such a sincere apology, but it's like, even was that even scripted?
But like, honestly,
did you
if they were
mean
like,
it?
Callum killed somebody, like left and like murdered someone, I would be like, oh well, I wouldn't double question it.
He has this weird thing about his like composure, like the way he sits. It's so calculated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he
And you
reminds
don't
me of,
even
like,
know.
a bad guy in the way that you love him. Like, he knows that you're gonna fall in love with him, and like once he gets you into that spider web, it's like.
But I think it's disrespectful to the other cast members. They can't just get up and go disappear. It's kind of like he's taking advantage of the situation that he's been on this, 2 seasons now, and he feels like he knows it better than everyone else. But if anything, I feel like he's actually progressed the least. Even seeing Karina in her psycho murderer moments.
She needs just needs a mirror. Like, I think that's their thing with Karina. Like, they just need to put a mirror in front of her and be like, girl, do you see what you're doing? Because don't you think, like, if you've dated shitty men your whole life, then you meet somebody who may have a troubled past? Because I think that everything with Chad stems from his mother in that relationship with her. So she's using her past still on him. But it's like, if somebody really pulled her out from that situation for her to look at herself, if she goes back and watches the season, I think she would be like, oh, I was fucking crazy. I was crazy. Okay. Yeah.
I actually relate the most to Karina, especially in the past. I've been a lot like her. But I think she's actually identified what her problem is. She said in the last episode that she feels like she's independent, driven. Like, look at her. She's an incredible body. She's beautiful. She has her own career. And I feel like she's that girl that has the checklist. And not only the checklist about what she wants in a guy, she has a checklist in herself. So she's like, I'm beautiful. I have a career. I have my own money. I don't need a guy for emotional. She's very strong. And she thinks that's sufficient. But then she doesn't realize that even if you are sufficient, you need to find someone that replicates that and that is secure enough to deal with a girl like that. So she said, she's like, I meet these guys. They love the fact that I'm independent. And the second they get me, they want to break that back down because it makes them insecure. Well, there's something about you that keeps going for these guys that are insecure. And honestly, I can relate to that. And it's the truth. And it's sad. And I was even reading an article. Do you ever watch the Snapchat things where you like go up and read the articles?
Yep.
there was an article and it said the 10 worst ways that celebrities got dumped. So of course I want to know how people got dumped. And I think like number 4 or something was Katy Perry. And Katy Perry was saying that Russell Brand, she found out he was divorcing her on a text message. Yep. And she was in an interview and she said this, and it was so crazy because it was so similar to what Karina said. And she said, when you meet a guy and he's strong and independent or famous or has things going for themselves, he wants to find someone that matches, they want to find someone that matches them equally. Because they're like, they're not with me for the fame, they're not with me for the money. Like how Ronnie's been saying, how Chad's been saying, they want someone that's with them for them. And then she's like, all of a sudden, I guess they went on tour and she's like, I started taking the front seat. And she's like, I knew we were going to get divorced from that point. So it's something that a lot of women go through. Women that are independent, that are strong and driven, they're like, at what point is a guy going to accept that we are that and not try to change us?
Equality, people. Let's get it together. That's interesting. I didn't know that about Katy Perry.
I didn't know that either. I thought that was crazy.
I knew the texting, but I didn't know that. Like for her to come out and say like, once I got this, like I knew it was gonna. That's interesting.
Well, then she followed up with that. Then later on down the line, she realized why they actually got divorced, but she said she's not gonna release why. She keeps it inside for a rainy day, basically for her book.
Yeah. Ronnie says he likes Malika, but he doesn't know what to do. And that causes him to be scared to pull back a little bit. And do you think that they pulled back at all?
I think...
Or we've seen any pulling back from them?
No, I mean, didn't she like grab his hand and say, we'll do this together and
yeah,
let's go to bed? They're two people struggling to figure out what their problems are, and they're just both in like sabotage mode, and it's gonna explode into like this whole big thing.
Oh my God, honestly, like it was just like, he scares me. He scares me. And it's funny because he's the type of guy that I would be like, he's everything, like he just looks bomb, he's just a cuddler and just wants to love and like, but no, I don't. He like, there's something about him that freaks me out, and I feel like Malika knew that from the like. That's why she's talking to him. She knows he is emotionally unavailable. I think Ronnie knows how to quickly get a girl to think he's charming and all that, and then once he does that, he doesn't know what to do with it. And that's why I think in the Jersey Shore, Sammy kind of ran the relationship because it was whatever she wanted, whatever. And they would always be in these fights and arguments because they never were on the same page with each other. And it's funny because I didn't think of it until watching this episode. And I was.
But he wasn't also the best boyfriend either.
Yeah.
I feel like if you can easily just meet somebody like, hey, nice to meet you, I love you, you can just do that with anybody. And that's actually what Chad said on the speed dating. He's like, how can I have these feelings for Karina? For Karina when and by the way, Justine, who was on the speed date, is actually one of the AfterBuzz hosts. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
I was like, something about her sounded familiar when I was like.
We actually went to hosting class together. We took Carolyn Berry's hosting academy like a couple months ago, and I saw the glasses and I'm like, is that Justine? And then he said her name and I'm like, oh my God, she's actually one of the AfterBuzz hosts.
We have to have her come in next week.
No, we do.
Oh yeah, she got to spill the tea.
So anyways, back to what I was saying is it's true. How can you just, he's like, how can I trust my feelings for Karina when I just met this other girl and I'm so into her? And then he just did the speed date. Ronnie did the speed date with the other girl. What was the girl's name? She was gorgeous, by the way.
He was like, oh, an intellectual conversation, or shoot, where'd I have it? Somewhere.
Ronnie's girl was beautiful. That blonde.
Yeah, she was really pretty. I don't know where I have it, but he made that comment about the intellectual conversation, and that is a true, honestly, like it really is kind of a thing. Like, how do you know what I mean? Like I feel like this is the society social media has kind of built up for us, because growing up. And when I hear stories about like my grandparents or my parents and like them falling for somebody, like it was time. It took like a long time. It was like they built a friendship and there was these bonds, and it was like nowadays it's like, oh, I liked like 4 pictures specifically on his Instagram, and I made sure that I liked the first one, and then I scrolled down a couple, you know, and it was like, I didn't like the shirtless one. I liked the ones where it was just him smiling, so he knew I would like real feelings. And then we went on our first date, and it was so cute, and it was everything, right? And then he got up from the table, and I just totally turned to my right, and I was talking to this other guy, and he was everything, and he gave me this number. And we live in this society where we're telling people, it's like, it's okay, you guys aren't in a relationship, you're just dating. You can date all these people. And then it's like, your life is Tinder, and you just have all these relationships that you don't, and you're going on dates every other night. I don't know. I've never been that person. I don't know if that's a right thing to do or a wrong thing to do. It's just weird to me. Like, I'm not somebody who can connect with that many people on that type of a level. It freaks me out because I don't know how to control. And I think that this is what, like, someone like Ronnie goes through this. Okay, if I talk to you and we hit it off and I think it's totally jam, and then all of a sudden now you like me. No, there's no way for me to win this other than hurting you. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's why I feel like a lot of people become emotionally unavailable. I feel like Ronnie is like one of that.
I don't understand. I know we talked about this in the last episode. I don't understand these levels of dating for the life of me. And that's why
we need Robert Mack in here.
That's why, like, I would never want to ever date. I feel like dating is like walking into a horror movie, not knowing who's your enemy, who's for you, who's against you. And so out of nowhere, like, weapons pop out. Like, here's a knife. Here's a shield.
Watch out, there's an axe.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's a spider coming. It's like, dating is crazy.
Yeah.
And there's levels. Like, what is a level? When you've gone on a date with somebody, at least, I would say 3 dates, you've obviously made a conscious decision, like actual dates. Like, hey, I really like you, Jesse. Would you join me tonight for dinner, for some dancing and giggles, blah, blah, blah. And no, there's like levels. There's like, oh, but we're not in a relationship yet. So 4 months in, until I ask you, will you be my boyfriend, you are off talking to other girls, and that's okay. Well, I mean, you wouldn't be talking to other girls, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
and I don't get that.
I don't understand.
And then what happens is that the people like myself and you that don't play that game, we get invested into a relationship, and then we find out down the line, like, oh, that guy was actually talking to other girls. You ask them about it, they're like, but we weren't together. And then it's like, bye. Because I wasn't doing that.
You're the crazy person calling on drunk, like, why did you... Hey.
Well, the crazy person is Karina, who's never even been on a date. Like, the guy hasn't even asked her on a date. And she's like, how dare he talk to that fan? And it was completely platonic. Like, maybe the girl in the back of her head wanted something.
Yeah.
But it's more of like, you know when you even follow somebody on social media, you feel like you know so much about them, so you see them, you're like, hey, what's up? So, like, that one picture with your dog, that was so cool, and then July 4th, your mom's awesome, blah, blah.
Like,
it was just...
And I don't think that's the type of girl that he wants. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he wants someone who he knows is real. I think he wants somebody who would be like, I never watched The Bachelorette.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I don't think he wants somebody who is like, oh, I was such a fan of you, and, like, now I love you.
He actually said that to her. He goes, I want to know if a girl's with me because I'm on the show or because of how I was on the show.
Right.
But yeah, I think he would love to have a girl that doesn't even know who he is. And I think that's why he likes Karina, because he feels like she has her shit together and she's so driven. But then it's like, exactly like Ronnie and Malika, you have two people who are halves. And you would think that because they're not whole themselves, they can be whole together. No. That it's like this. It's not the same. You gotta have two people that are their own halves, and you have that little diagram. I never passed that in English school. What is that? In the English class?
Piece in the middle.
Like, what is that, like the similarities?
Let's not embarrass ourselves.
Sorry to my 5th grade teacher.
That's a Venn diagram.
Venn diagram.
Love you, Mark.
Yes. Love you, Mark.
That
was terrible.
That's all right. We both failed. Karina said, what you say is sweet, but then your actions are totally different. Then he turned to her and said, and she didn't, and never responded to this. He said, if she was fat, would you have felt the same way?
That was the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yep, because she couldn't respond because she knew how shallow she would sound because she knew what the answer was to that question.
But really, sometimes guys don't even have, like, they'll just go for anything.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But she knows him. He ain't like that. Because Chad can pull whatever. But just walking in here before you had came, everyone was like, oh, Chad, is Chad gonna come on the show? I'm like, oh my God. Like, he's very handsome, but I'm like...
He's very handsome, and I feel like I understand Karina's frustration that he talks a big game, and it's funny because the song that we just introed in, it says actions speak louder than words. Like, he just literally walks in, or he didn't walk in, she walked in, and he just assumes they're going on a date. What happened to chivalry? What happened to asking for a date?
Because I do understand him. He is a boy. He's a little boy. Like, the more I watch Chad, like, from the moment I met him before we did this show, and it was for Famously Single. And I remember interviewing everybody, and for some reason everyone kept like putting it in my ear that Chad was going to be this dick, this asshole, this da-da-da. He was one of the nicest out of all the entire cast of them. New York wasn't there, and Callum wasn't. He was the nicest one. Like, very open, conversationalist, and the more I watch him on the show, I'm like, you're a little boy. Like, he's scared. Like, he's just a scared little boy. And I think it's funny that she says he sees this Jekyll Hyde personality. I think that that's a protective thing. I think it's when he feels like he is less than, I think he builds himself cocky and all that stuff because he doesn't believe those things about himself. I think that he is probably very insecure with himself, and he just hasn't had the right person to really sit there and be like, pull out all of his insecurities, lay them on the table and be like, I'm still here. Like, let's talk about it.
Well, she sits there and she calls him that, and then she's kind of like doesn't even know who she is either. I don't think he's like a player. No. I mean, I don't know his history. Maybe he's cheated in the past. It seems like with him, I do agree that, you know, he has a little boy side to him, but come on, we learn in like second grade, what, will you be my Valentine? Like, you know that if you want to ask somebody out, you ask them.
Yeah, but
with her,
the way New York came in, though,
she came in hot.
But she came in hot, and I much respect to that. But I do feel the way his mindset of a boy, and this is an excuse. It sounds like an excuse.
I think you have a man crush on him.
No, I don't. I can recognize it. Like,
he's not your type.
No, not
at all.
No.
Looks wise.
No.
Anything wise.
No, I mean, like, he's an attractive guy, but
you like the bad boys. That's why you like David.
He's a bad boy. No, honestly, I really don't even think David's that cute. I like, from afar, David, like in a picture, David's cute, but then he's like in person and be like, okay, stop.
Okay, if you had to choose forcefully, there's no like, I plead the fifth. Callum, Ronnie, Chad, or David. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Who would you pick and why?
It would have to be between Chad and Callum. Only, and that's just because, like, now getting to know them, it's like those are the two that I feel like I could have. Like I think David is very attractive, but like his.
You just said that Callum is a serial killer.
I did. I mean, but
you went from a guy on your couch to a serial killer.
Hey, but like we said about New York,
listen,
like, it's usually the wrong word.
Dr. Felina's here for you. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's diagnose you.
Well, look.
So tell me,
honey, I don't
Jesse,
have
tell me
the best track record.
Jesse, do you like horror movies?
I love them, actually. Just watched Split, and I think I might. And I'm just kidding.
Is your favorite horror movie the bum that ends up slitting your throat? Is that your favorite movie?
I've never seen that one, but sounds a little bit like my love life. No, why I say that is because watching it, Chad is not somebody in real life I would ever be like, yeah, that's gonna be my man. But
everyone else thinks that.
But as I'm watching it now, I'm starting to I didn't watch any of the bullshit, so I don't like Chad because his bad boy mentality. Like, to me, it's more what I'm liking about Chad is seeing his backstory and seeing him be in these awkward situations with people telling me like, oh, he's so this, he's so that. I don't see that. And to me, that's endearing. With Callum, okay, it is a little scary because like I would be questioning him like, are you a serial killer? Like, you're psycho. Like, you just, hello, yes. Like, you look like the fucking Joker.
I swear to God, I was just going to say he's going to make the perfect Joker.
Honestly, like, Callum is creepy. But at the same time...
Or he's like an Italian job. Like, he's always going to play, like, the mob boss. Like, the bad guy that, like, has people murdered.
Yep.
That's him.
Callum, though, is, like, not physically what I would typically go after, but mentally... That's exactly the guy that I date. Like, the guy that I think he's smart, and if he just meets me and understands my heart, he'll change. Like, that's totally... David used to be the type of guy I would go after just because I'd be like, oh my God, he's so hot. And he works out on himself, and he's just so into himself. But then you realize, like, he's stupid, and he just is out here fucking everything.
I love what you said, and I do agree. I think that Chad is actually the most honest person on the show. I think Ronnie's honest, but Ronnie doesn't even know what he's doing.
Yep.
So you can't be honest if you don't even know what you're doing. You have Callum, who we're convinced went and murdered somebody last night. So police department, if somebody got murdered between the hours of... I'm just kidding. Wasn't this like filmed earlier? Yeah, but anyways, if somebody was murdered and you can't find the killer... Famously single. No, I'm just kidding. Poor guy. He probably hates us right now if he's watching this.
He's probably laughing. Actually.
And then you have Chad, who is just so honest. And actually, Chad, even in his intro, he said, I was not scripted as the bad boy in The Bachelor. He goes, I was the bad boy. And I love that. Mm-hmm. Just be honest. Be real. Be yourself. I can be psycho. I can admit that. I can be insecure. You can date a bum and a serial killer, and you like Callum's mental problems. We're honest. Honesty. And I feel like Chad is the most honest. But Karina, I'm going to backtrack on this. even though I love Karina and I was like pro Karina last week, I think she's the one that's playing the games and doesn't realize it.
Yep.
Like, he walked over to get a drink. He owes her nothing. He's not your boyfriend. You're not in a relationship. You haven't even gone on a date yet. He walks over to get a drink to like make an effort, and she just shuts him down. So, how was the chick? Was she good in bed?
But
like,
did you notice
stop,
last
dude.
season Brandy was like that with Callum? Very like,
That's true.
Oh, he's doing that. I'm not talking to him anymore. Dun 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 dun. So, because I noticed like.
But they had something. They haven't even gone on a date yet.
Yeah.
They haven't even kissed yet. I mean, he got like a.
But I think that's
she got,
also
like, a
where
kiss
the
right
fire
here.
yeah, but she made sure it was just a kiss right there because she
That was
put
so
both her-
awkward.
she's like, I think that there's so much tension there and it's gone like a couple days without a conversation that it's like this awkwardness. And honestly, I think that if it's too much, then it's kind of like, well, maybe we should just be friends, kind of a thing, because you do need that conversation. Because I feel like when I really liked somebody, I couldn't have that conversation. Like I see what they're going through, and that's why I think with Chad, I'm starting to like look at him like, okay,
I agree.
Karina,
yeah.
you're the one with the wall up, it's so endearing for him to know that, like he sees that about her, because I think he does that with himself, and just to see him like continue to go back and kind of be like, I'm still standing on the other side.
Not only does she put the wall up, because it's something I used to do myself, she puts the wall up and then she expects you to know exactly what she's thinking.
Oh,
Like, why did you do that? Even though we haven't gone on a date, we're in a
like,
relationship.
Are you a Leo girl? Are you a Leo?
And I think there's a part of her, as a woman that is so driven and has so many things going for herself, she doesn't know when to take the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes in a relationship, it's not about one person taking the back seat and then another person the back seat. It's about knowing at the right time when for someone to back off.
Yep.
And she's just always like attacking him. And then he said he likes that. He goes, she's kind of psycho, but I think I like it. I was like, no, don't say that. That's why he's like feeding her psychoness. He's feeding the ego.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is.
I feel like we're Team Chad today.
We are definitely Team Chad.
We're Team Chad.
I loved, one of my favorite random moments was when Ronnie asked, oh my God, what's her name? Oh my God, my mind just went blank. Wang. Dorothy. About Malika's leather top. That was just a quick,
I literally,
cute little,
the Coca-Cola almost came out of my nose right now.
And he didn't even call her Dorothy. He was like, Wang. What do you think about this?
That sounds like like Alexander Wang. I feel like that sounds so appropriate. Wang.
And she was like, I'm sure you would love her in it. She kept it cute. So they go on these blind dates. Would you ever do this?
I've never wanted to do like that speed dating. I know there was like places that used to have like the speed dating, and one time one of my girlfriends went to it, not me. But I love the fact that your eyes are closed.
Yeah.
I feel like that says so much, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm at that point where I'd want to put myself in there, but you truly see people's real sides. And I actually was looking a lot at Dorothy, who I've noticed that like when it comes to like dating and men, I'm very like similar to her in that. And I was like, wow, like I didn't like that. And I don't like that I'm like that. Like, you sat there and you saw Chad and he was like so open with Justine, and then even Karina, she did that weird like hand-holding thing.
Yeah, that was bad.
And then Tiffany, I think, was by far my favorite part of this entire episode, where she was like, oh, let me grab it, I want to feel it, I want to know the size. And then she felt an energy, and it's so crazy because in my most recent relationship, it was the first time ever that I had actually been the one to initiate it. I've never been the girl that like will go up to a guy, flirt with the guy. Like, it's always been the guy coming after me, talking to me. And it's the same thing. Like, I felt this weird energy, and it freaked me out. I don't know what to do with it. I got scared at first. Then I said some stupid things, and it made me all like insecure. And I'm like, what am I saying? I don't even talk like that. Like, that's not me. And it's insane because her eyes were closed. She didn't even see how good looking the guy was. Like, that to her is her perfect kind of guy. He's like, oh, I'm a basketball player. He had the leather jacket. He's tall, dark, and handsome. And she just knew. And that to me is like, what does that say? I'm so big on energy. That says so much about the fact that we are built off of energies.
Yeah.
Because she felt it. What did she feel then?
No, I know. I just think that I don't know.
And then she started talking shit. Your hands are small.
I question. I don't know. I questioned it because, like, with her, because I didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. Now with Chad and Justine, that energy was like bam. Ronnie and the other girl, it was like bam. Like those to me were their dates to me outside of that. This would be fun with New York and that guy. I don't know. It just seemed like very. It's just always going to be sexual with her, and I think that it's going to take somebody to take her fully out of that.
But this was the first guy that she wasn't sexual with. With the other guy, I forget his name, she was like, "Oh, I've got enough booty," and he's like, "Well, I'm hungry." She's like, "I could feed you forever." But then with this guy, she didn't say anything sexual. Well, she just immediately.
She did. When she said small hands, she was saying that
but
to
that
downplay the fact that she know he got big old dick.
Well, I feel like she said it as like a defense mechanism because she knew she felt something and didn't know why. I feel like she has that humor and it's kind of like a barrier for her. Mm-hmm. She uses the humor, the jokes, the comedy to kind of like protect herself, not to tell you when she's serious and when she's not. And she sensed something, and so that's why she just threw out the insult. She's like, "Oh, your hands are small." He's like, "I'm a basketball player. How do you think I grip that ball? These hands are not small."
And then we saw David. Oh, and Callum with that Whitney girl. They were cute too.
Was it Rob that picked the speed daters?
I don't know.
They did an excellent job. I'm not gonna lie. Those like 4 or 5 people were amazing.
Mm-hmm. David though has this touching thing where he was like hugging the girls, grabbed her ass, and then there was another girl who was like, "Hi, how are you?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm." Like he reminds me of like a little boy who has too much testosterone and just got to put his dick in everything. He's like, "Can I touch your face?" Like, "Can you touch my face?" Like, no. What
did you think of Callum and the sniffing? That was funny.
I thought that was cute because it was like a hug and then it turned into the sniff. Like, I don't know.
How important is smelling to you?
Very.
Oh my God. Yeah. Everything. Like a guy's scent. You like dream about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely met guys that don't have a scent.
What if they have bad BO?
Then that's like, no, I'm saying like that. Like you can be a person where I don't notice your scent, and that's cool. But if, obviously, you know what I mean, like.
If I notice your scent, okay, I have to ask this because I went on a date and this happened to me. Please be honest, completely candid. What would you do if someone on the first date is eating onions?
I mean that doesn't like I'm weird like that stuff doesn't. I'm a weird person. Like I can go.
What does it? I need to hear the answer.
I don't know. Like that.
Is it a deal breaker?
No.
Oh my God. Onions?
I'm not kissing you on the first date.
But you can smell it. Like they're gonna sweat out the onion juice.
What kind of date are you on that you're sweating? Like first of all, I don't do that. I don't sweat on first dates. I don't go to places where I'm like.
No, like what if you're sitting at the beach and it's hot outside? You're walking. You could smell like the onions coming off their fingers.
We live in two different worlds. I ain't at the beach on my first date with my man. If I'm at the beach with a man, it's at night and we look watching the sunset. I don't like beaches, but onion, like I'm not a deal. Like I don't know, like I'm weird. Like foods and like
onions though.
Yeah, like that doesn't bother me. Like like it would be more so like.
How are you single then if you're not even that picky?
No, I'm very picky. I'm picky about everything, but like shit you can't control. Like. I mean, I don't want to say it like this, but like farting, shitting, like things like that, like things people obviously like on the first date you don't want any of that, but it's like you know that these things happen with people, so like it's not a turn off. Like I mean, it's kind of like, oh, do you just fart right here? Like okay, like I might have a conversation with my friends about it another time, but it's not a deal breaker. Like it's life, it happens, and it's like, oh, all right.
Okay, but if you're on the first date and he's picking you up and he breaks one in the car, that's for sure a deal breaker. Do not lie. You are lying right now. Stop lying to yourself.
No, it's like
be like Chad. Be honest.
I mean, there would have to be a lot of variables for me to have a conversation with you after that.
Onions and breaking the cheese in the car.
If honestly, like you would have to be like, because I feel like if Chad picked me up and was like. I feel like he would like stop the car, get out the car, and like walk away 10 feet. If you did something like that, I would laugh, and I'd be like, "Okay, did you really just do this? Fucking?" And I would be like, "It's weird. It's fucking weird. I'm gonna talk about you." And
I'm talking about it right now.
I'm gonna be on air talking about it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like I'm just a very weird person.
Stop lying.
Because I've got I could tell you some things that have happened this past year that I'm just shocked at myself. What else did we get? All right. Well, you know what? Let's just head into predictions because my brain's going to several other places. So.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Karina came home and she goes into the other room and she talks to Dorothy and Malika about Chad not asking her on a date, and then Ronnie gets up to go ask Chad what he thought, and then next week we're gonna see they're gonna go on this yoga date. What are your thoughts?
The yoga date is, ironically, he was so against it, but I feel like, especially because it looked like a one-on-one thing, it's like such a sexual thing. I did love the fact that Tiffany, you're stepping it up this episode, she's like, why don't you do something that you know that she loves? Like, she's into dancing, she's into being athletic. Do something with her, show her that you're interested. And even though he's not athletic, and she goes, I know you want to twist your manhood into a pretzel, but think about you twisting her into a pretzel. He's like, can I get some popcorn and watch? So I do think it's going to be a good date. I do think it's something that's different. It's outside the box than the typical, you go to dinner and it's like loud and it's like you're across the table, you're watching the person eat. What if there's something in your teeth? I feel like a yoga date is something different.
Is more of a deal breaker.
In your teeth? How do you know it's in your teeth? Oh, where you go on the date?
Where we're going on our date. If on our first date you are like, let's go to the movies. For what? Like,
so we can not talk?
Yeah. Irks my nerve. Like, unless it was like y'all are friends and then it starts turning into that. Like, there are just certain things that's like, that's not a good proper date, because how are you really getting to know this person? Like, going out to eat, I think that is like, going out for dinner isn't a date to me. Like, there needs to be something with that. I go out to eat with friends all the time.
No, but you do something after. You, like, go bowling or...
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Do
something has to be attached to it because, if it is going to be the onion situation, you know what I mean? Like, that can't be the only driving force.
That story is just too good. I'm going to have to tell you that one later.
No,
not even like that, but I was, like, stuck.
And then stuck like kind of how Ronnie stuck with this intellectual conversation, and Malika was like, you only be having intellectual conversations with nobody else. If you want to talk to somebody, you can talk to me.
That was too much. I don't know what's up with Malika and Karina on this episode, but they're taking psycho to another level. And I've been that girl, and like Dorothy said, you hide that shit. But it's not even that. They're not your boyfriends. You're not in a relationship with them. You're on a show where they didn't actually come to meet you. They came to open themselves up to love and meeting new people. And right off the bat, they anchored themselves to you girls. And that in itself is, a big deal. But it's like, oh, how dare you? And she was talking to him like she's like his teacher. Like, how dare you go to detention today? But it's like, guys don't like that. And even though if they think they like that, they don't. Like, long term, you don't want somebody that talks to you like that. You don't want somebody that has those kind of insecurities. Because if it's pre-date? Like, I mean, they've kissed, but they haven't even been on a date yet. I feel like they are 100% taking all their baggage from their old relationships and throwing it onto the new guy. Like, they meet Chad and they meet Ronnie, and they're like, oh, you're the guy that's married, that cheated on your wife. I'm going to treat you like, nah. And then Karina's like, you're the guy that wants to change me, that doesn't like me for me, that is a cheater. And then he's just literally was having the most platonic conversation with somebody, and she's like, how dare he? It's not the same guy. The past, Eckhart Tolle said it best. The past is a footprint. That's it. Let it go. The present is a future present moment. Just keep living in the present. Do not live in the future. Do not live in the past. Stop carrying your baggage.
It's so hard to do that, but I mean...
You gotta love yourself. That's how you start doing it.
You gotta love yourself to love someone else, honey. All right, we want to thank y'all for tuning in. Let us know what you guys think of the show, or what you guys thought of some of these. You know what? Why don't you tell us some of your situations, some of your bad dates? Would you date somebody who ate onions on the first day? We want to know. Write them down below. You guys can hit us up at AfterBuzz TV on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Subscribe to us if you guys can't watch us. You guys can listen to us on iTunes at AfterBuzz TV. Famously single. Keep in contact with me at DJ Jesse J.
And I'm Lina Noory. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I would like to know if onions is a deal breaker or not. You can find me on Instagram at Lina Noory and on Twitter at Lina Noory_.
Till next week, same time, same place. Peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.